So what we're going to do here today is refinish a set of lower front control arms for a GM A-body 1964 through 1972. They're all dimensionally the same. They can fit in any one. A 64 will fit a 72. Off camera you're going to hear some noises down here. We got another project going on. My son is cleaning up a 1955 Packard motor, and then we're going to paint that. You can see that on another link. So here we go, some fast motion of scraping junk off of a front lower control arm. I want to do this before I put it in the sandblaster, just to keep the junk and the grease out of it. Bend. Perfect. So now we're going to pop out this ball joint. The way I do that is I put a spacer on the underside, and then I'll press the ball joint right out of the arm. Ball joints removed. So the next task is to get these bushings out. And there's really only one way to do that, and the simplest thing to do is to get a piece of pipe, cut it in half, and make a shim that goes down between these two ears so you don't crush them in the process of taking the bushing out. And then what I do is, hold on. And then what I do is I use a ball joint press to press this thing out far enough so that we don't damage it with an air chisel. And you can get these things at the parts store. So you can rent them. So just put that in there like that. And all you want to do is get it started so you can pop that bushing out. So bushing didn't come completely out. Undercoating is holding it in place, but you can see it's out. Let's do another one. So what's happening here is I'm pushing here against this ear, and then this shim transfers that force to this ear, which then puts pressure on the bushing on the back side there, and that's what pops it out. Like that. Nothing to it. So we got a nice lip here now that we can get an air chisel on that won't damage the arm. So let's do that. All right. Next step, sandblaster. These are C-code arms. Nice arms. Let's do some sandblasting. Now that we've got these arms reasonably cleaned, there's some defects we need to take care of. On this arm, you can see that the drain holes are uneven, so we'll take a drill and drill those out to the same size. Also, if you look right here, this is a sway bar link mount. And the bushing obviously got worn out and the arms got a little worn mark in there, so we're going to take care of that. And the factory spot welded the original bushings in place. Those spot welds were broke when we pushed them out, which is to be expected. And we'll grind those down and make them nice and smooth. This was something done by vendors. You won't find that on all arms, and I think it was more to hold the bushing in place in shipment rather than necessary to hold the bushing in place when it's in the car. And the reason that is because it's captured in the car like this. So that bushing cannot come out of there no matter what. So these welds are not needed. These are very nice arms. They're what's called C-code arms. I don't know if you can see this right here. But you see the C that's stamped in the arm? Some people believe that that was a good designator of super sport cars. That's not the case. What they really did is whatever they happen to have on hand, they put on these cars. Super sports generally did come with round bushings. These are what I'm talking about round bushings. Super sport cars generally did come with round bushings, but I have seen original concourse super sport cars that have a round bushing in one side and an oval bushing on the other side, and that was done at the factory because they just didn't have any other arms. Also, just as a point of fact, the only replacement arm you can get from, or could get from the dealer, was an oval bushing arm. The stamp in this arm is so light you really can't see it. It's unfortunate, it's right here, but as soon as I put any powder on there, it's going to disappear. You just can't see it. So, we talked about the defects on this arm. On this arm we got a bend to take care of. And this sway bar link hole is okay. The drain holes will even them up. And then as a final dress up thing, what we'll do is we'll take a grinder and we'll grind this edge and get all the nicks out of it. So let's start with the hardest thing first, and we'll get rid of this bend. Nice. 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 Let that cool. Let's address the next issue. And the next issue is this hole right here. And it's only in this arm. The other arm is good. And this hole is for the sway bar bushing. And what happened here is the sway bar bushing wore out and the bolt got up against the side of the arm and wore a half moon in the arm. So if I put a bolt in here that's the right size for the hole, you can really see this half moon right there. So what we're going to do is take a welder and we'll build up that corner a little bit, and then we'll take a grinder and grind it down so we got a nice hole again, and we'll be back in business. Okay, what we're going to do again is weld up the inside of the hole. Fixed. Let's give you a close-up. So here's the end result. And then we'll take our guide, and it fits perfect, nice, both ways. Couldn't ask for anything better. Next step. Next step is grind these edges. Okay, two things. One is all marks are not bad marks. I don't know if you can see this right here. Right there. And right there. Those are good marks. Those are die marks from when this arm was originally formed, and they will show through the powder coat. So I don't want to get rid of them. Here's another one. Those are marks from the original die when this arm was formed, and we certainly don't want to grind those away. We're just getting rid of all the rough nicks and dents that have occurred over the years. So the next thing is, I don't like, see these holes here? Those are drain holes, and they're fine, they serve their purpose, but they're uneven. So what we'll do is we'll even them up. No one ever noticed, but I kind of like it. So for the 2 seconds it takes to clean up the holes, we'll do that. And now, because of the little rough edges and there's little gouges here and there, I'm going to take a little die grinder with a disc on it. Okay, this arm now looks good for final cleaning. Two things. One, I hope you can see the C there. That should show up through the powder coat. But in this one, you can just barely see it there. I can see it. I can hardly see it. So unfortunately, that one won't be marked, but we do know that these are C-coat arms. Now, an interesting way to know whether the arm has a crack in it or a flaw is they should ring, just like a bell. If you pick it up and tap it, if there's a crack in it, it'll be dull. If there's no crack in it, so, I mean, it's not a bell, but it's got a sharp tone to it. If it had a crack in it someplace, you would hear it. So I'm going to take these to the sandblaster and clean these things up, and then we're going to be ready to outgas for powder coat. So I think you've seen this once. I don't see any reason to bore you with it again. So I'll bring you back when these things are finished sandblasting. Oh, and one thing. If you have a sandblaster booth, don't use play sand. That's very bad for you. The dust is silica. It gets in your lungs. It does all kinds of bad things. This is carbon slag, I guess that's what this is, but it's specifically meant for sandblasting. Okay, I've gotten the arms through the sandblaster for a second time. We got them nice and cleaned up. And the way we're going to finish these arms is with powder coat. So the first step to powder coat is to outgas. Outgas means allowing the air that's trapped in the metal at the time of the foundry to escape so that it doesn't bubble when I put the powder on. Powder is nothing more than plastic, and if I coat it with plastic and I have air escaping, then I'll get little bubbles, and we don't want that. So through the magic of time, let's take a look at what they look like. Okay, we'll let these cool for about 45 minutes, and we'll put some GM 90% bright, semi-gloss, black, chassis correct powder coat on there. Here we go. And they're done. Look at that. And now you got to wait for them to cool. Next step in this process is to remove the powder that's on the inside of all the sockets for the ball joints and the bushings. And I do that this way. Leaving just a trace of the powder coat. Again, leaving a trace of the powder so that I know that I'm not widening that hole. Okay, closing in on it now. You got to put the bushings in and the ball joints in. And a little trick to the trade is you put these things in the freezer overnight before you're going to put them in, and they can kind of almost clip in, so it's going to press together really nice. A little tape on the end of your shim there, and it'll help save the powder coat. The shim keeps you from crushing the ears. So what we're going to be doing is pushing on the bushing. This ear is going to be backed up by this shim, which is backed up by this ear, which is backed up by this shim, which is backed up by the ball joint press. So all the pressure is now going to be this way. No drama, and the bushing is now in the arm, and no bent ears. So let me get the rest of the bushings done and then we'll do the ball joints. All right, let's push the ball joints in. Now it's the same thing as the way we took the ball joints out, except I have a shim with a hole in it, and that hole allows for that grease fitting. So I'll push down on this, which pushes down on the ball joint, and it doesn't interfere with the grease fitting. So there's the shim, there's the ball joint, there's the spacer, one ball joint installed. Do another one. Okay, so this is what we have after our work. They came out pretty nice. Here's the C that I've been trying to tell you about all along. And as you can see, that arm is in really nice shape. And there, can you see them? Draw die marks right there. Nothing I can do about those dents. Okay, this is the one that we repaired the sway bar bushing mount. So that came out nice. This arm is also very nice. We've got some draw die marks right there, and if you look very, very carefully right there, you can see the outline of the die that has the C in the center. So you can actually see it better than what I thought. So that's the end of this video, and we will be making more.